Buddy, thanks to those of you who were able to show up for our online tutorials today. It was great to get to talk to some of you. I guess I'll say face to face, even though most of you decided to keep your camera off. By the way, if you guys are wanting to join and not be on camera, then you don't have to do that, right? You know, you can turn your camera off and just look at this beautiful mug and listen. And you can also turn your mic off until you're ready to talk. So really, you get the benefit of being there. You don't have to be on camera. I will be, but you don't have to be, okay? Just hopefully that encourages some of you guys who didn't join us this week to join us next week. This week, I really just kind of went over some of what's already in that PowerPoint for you. We focused on the idea of how color pencil, what we don't want to do is press really hard with it to get vibrancy. We don't use a lot of pressure because what happens is it damages the paper. The paper has tiny little holes in it that help us to get the pigment on there. The holes almost like pull the pigment, and little tiny paper holes of the paper are filled with the pigment. If you press really hard, you'll notice you get that weird kind of shiny look like you see here. That means the paper has closed and sealed itself up. You've damaged the paper. You can't really put any more pigment on top of that. So we don't want to use pressure to get vibrancy. Just we want to layer it in like 3 or 4 layers of soft layering in order to get vibrancy, rather than putting it all there at once, especially for this color wheel that you guys are creating, because you are only using the primary colors here, and you make all the other colors of the color wheel. So you got your primaries, which are your blues, your yellow, your red, which we can't create. So we're going to use, 4 layers for vibrancy. You can see I did that here, layered it up, got a nice bright blue. You're going to have a yellow, which you do 4 layers with, and a red you do 4 layers with. But the secondary colors, the green, the orange, the violet, and the tertiary, also known as intermediate colors, the yellow oranges, the red oranges, the blue greens, and the blue violets, the red violets, all of those other 2 color name ones, we are going to be creating those as well. So you're not grabbing stuff just right out of the color pencil box and filling in the shape, other than for the primaries. What we're doing here is showing that we understand color mixing. Now, the thing about color pencil, obviously with paint, it's easy to mix. And we know what our ratios are. I'll go over them as I kind of talk about the different primary, secondary, and tertiary or intermediate colors. The difficult thing with color pencil, even if you compare it to pencil, is it's a medium that is not blendy and soft in the same way, right? So if this was pencil, if I were to rub my finger over that, it would just blend right down. Now, color pencil doesn't do that because it is more of a waxy binder. And so we have to kind of find tricks to blend that color pencil. All right, so there's a couple different marks that you can use. There's a spiky mark and there's an oval mark. I like the oval mark. That's the one I went over in the demo today. The spiky mark is almost like a heartbeat pattern, and it is, as you can see here, kind of spiky on the edges. That's why I call it the spiky mark. But it's kind of similar to cross hatching, except for it's not as controlled. You almost, every now and again, imagine you've got this heartbeat kind of going through. So that allows us to kind of spread the color out more. But my favorite mark to use is that oval mark. And you can see here it's almost got a cloud-like look to it. And I think you can see it once I get a little closer up. You can see why I call it the oval mark. It is just that. It's an oval mark. I've layered it about 3 or 4 times here. That's why it's a little bit more vibrant. The first layer is, of course, softer. Okay? So I have completed a couple of colors on my color wheel here using that oval mark, using layering. We want to use 4 layers for the secondary and primary colors. We're going to use 5 layers for the tertiary colors, also known as intermediate colors. Okay? So I'm going to start with a primary. I already got my blue there. I'm going to switch to red. And I'm just going to do 1 primary color because the big idea here is that idea of using the oval mark so that you can blend it nicely. What I like to do for even more blending is through each layer I change the direction of the oval mark. So by oval mark I mean something that is a loose oval, not a tight oval, right? So we don't want to hold our pencil way down here. Want to hold it towards the middle. We also want to hold it kind of sideways. That gives us a wider and a softer mark. And we hold it towards the middle, almost like you would a paintbrush, so that you can make a looser mark. When we hold it up here, it tends to be tight and controlled. We don't want that. We want to hold it like a paintbrush towards the middle. Okay? So, I'm going to show you the mark down here. So there's my oval mark that I use. Okay. And this is more of a vertical oval mark because the ovals are tall. And the oval mark that when I do my second layer on top, I switch the direction. So it's more of a horizontal oval mark. Okay. And that's 2 layers. It's a little rushed there. You'll see it looks a little better when you take your time, but I just wanted to show you the shape of my mark is an oval one, holding my pencil sideways. And the shape of my mark is an oval one, holding my pen, whether it's vertical or horizontal, I'm always holding it sideways and towards the middle. So I'm going to go to red now. You can see we did our red, orange, and our orange in my tutorial with everyone who joined me live today. So I'm going to do 4 layers. The reason I want to do 4 layers is because it gives me a nice vibrant color. Remember, we're not pressing all at once hard. See that weird shininess? We don't like that. Okay, we want to build up the layers here. So I'm going to start off with more of a horizontal oval mark, trying to stay inside the shape. Can't really erase color pencil, but at least not once it's built up. But you can use it if you make little mistakes. You can use an eraser and you should, because you want this to look nice and neat. If you end up outside the lines, take your eraser. If you're like me and you're human, outside the lines a little bit, you can clean that up. Okay. Right now it's my first layer. It's looking kind of light. There's even a little bit of patchiness, so that'll go away as I build the layers a bit. I'm going to put a second layer. I'm going to change. So last time, I did the more horizontal oval mark. Now I'm going to switch, so I'm using a more vertical oval mark, and that just really helps for blending. Also to make sure that I'm getting all the areas. I don't want any little white areas that are very obviously peeking through, that are kind of empty of color. So there's my second layer. Oh. Using that more vertical style oval mark. And color pencil tends to have this nice sort of almost snowy, pixely look to it, which we embrace. Just like we were talking about watercolor. We don't want to try to make watercolor something that it's not. We accept the color pencil for what it is. We understand that it is not pencil. We understand that it is not pastel. We embrace and love the color pencil for what it can do. There's my third layer. You can see it's starting to get nice and vibrant there. And I'm going to, actually I'm just going to put this down on the table so I have a little bit more of a solid surface to work on just for my last layer. And then I'll show you guys. I'm switching to the other direction of my oval mark. Not doing anything differently. You'll have to trust me since I'm off camera here. And still using the oval mark, just change the direction of it. Now I'm looking for any areas that seem to be a bit white. I'm still not pressing hard because I don't want to damage that paper. I don't want to get that weird shiny look to it. Okay? And the key really is here, guys, build up nice soft layers. You get too solid a color right from the first or second layer, there's not really anywhere for you to go, especially when you're making your own colors. Okay, so I got my red. I got my red-orange. You can see how this is just a little, almost like now that it's beside the red-orange, which has obviously more orange in it, this looks a little pinky, doesn't it? But that is my true red. Make sure when you pick your color pencil colors that they are sort of like your primaries, right? So don't pick the goldenrod yellow, pick the yellow. And Crayola, pick the red, pick the blue. They keep it simple. Like, don't pick the light blue. Even if you like that color better, you just won't get as good of results. Okay, so we got a primary. If I were doing this color wheel, I'd do all the primary colors first before I moved on to the secondary colors. I've just done things a little bit differently for the purposes of the tutorial, because I'm not sure you want to watch me do the whole thing, because the technique's the same, right? So you'll do your red, your blue, your yellow. You got your 4 layers using an oval mark, changing between vertical and horizontal. And then we are going to move on now to the secondary. Okay.